They scanned a human mind. Then everything changed. The scan begins. The signal came without warning. No sound. No light. Just silence. Across the entire planet, every screen froze at the exact same moment. Phones, TVs, satellites. Then, a single message appeared. You have been selected. At first, people thought it was a glitch, a hack, another viral stunt. But then people started disappearing. Not thousands, not millions, just one, every hour. No pattern, no trace. Gone. Meet Arman. Arman was nothing special. No powers, no fame, just a normal human trying to survive in a world that suddenly didn't make sense anymore. Until it was his turn. The abduction. 1 second he was in his room. The next, darkness, cold air, and a low humming sound that didn't feel like sound. It felt like it was inside his skull. When his vision returned, Arman realized he wasn't on Earth anymore. The experiment room. A metallic chair, straps on his arms, a strange helmet slowly descending toward his head, and around him, shadows. Not creatures, not machines, something in between, watching, studying, waiting. One of them stepped forward, not walking, floating. Its face was nothing but shifting darkness. Then directly inside Arman's mind, a voice. Human, we will measure you. The scan. The helmet locked in place, and suddenly, memories exploded. His childhood, his fears, his worst moments, everything exposed. The shadows didn't react. At first, then, something changed. They saw too much. They saw war. They saw destruction. They saw pain beyond imagination. But that wasn't what shocked them. What shocked them was what came after. A memory. A burning city. Smoke everywhere. People screaming. And in the middle of chaos, a mother, holding her child, smiling. The shadows froze. Another memory. Arman, broken, bleeding, alone. Yet still standing, still fighting. Another. Loss. Pain. Failure. And yet, he kept going. The first reaction. For the first time, the shadows moved back, almost like they were afraid. The voice returned. But this time, it wasn't calm. This was not possible. Something woke up. Inside Arman's mind, something shifted. Not fear, not pain, defiance. The machine began to shake. The lights flickered. The shadows started communicating rapidly, silent, chaotic. Stop the scan. It is spreading. This mind is... Too late. Arman opened his eyes. But this time, they weren't just his anymore. The shadows had never encountered anything like Arman. Inside the lab, the air vibrated with a strange energy, an invisible storm that twisted reality itself. Arman blinked. His body was free from the straps, but his mind was alive with something he could barely control. Voices, millions of them, whispered inside his head. Not just the shadows. Voices. Others. Forgotten memories. Hopes. Fears. Rage. Pain. Strength. He felt his consciousness stretching. Spilling beyond his body. The shadows recoiled. Their darkness faltered. Impossible, one of them hissed. The shadows recoiled. Their darkness faltered. Impossible, one of them hissed. Machines sparked violently. Metal cracked. The helmet lifted itself from his head, falling to the floor. Arman's eyes glowed faintly. He didn't know how or why, but he could feel the ship listening to him, responding to his thoughts. A shadow floated closer, trying to impose control. Arman didn't resist. He absorbed it. The darkness entered his mind, but now he controlled it. With a thought, the shadows were ripped apart, scattered like smoke in a hurricane. Alarms blared. Red lights flashed. Something deep inside the ship groaned, as if alive and wounded. Outside, through the ship's translucent walls, he saw Earth, but twisted. Not his Earth. A version broken by time, war, and chaos. A voice cut through his head, different from the shadows. Human, you are beyond reckoning. Do you understand what you have awakened? Yes, Arman whispered, though he barely knew what it meant. I will not be a subject. I will not be contained. I will survive. I will fight. I will... The shadows regrouped, forming a single colossal figure. It was terrifying. Endless void. Eyes, if they could be called that, burning white. It raised a hand. And in that instant, Armin felt the first taste of something terrifying. Pain, memory, and pure existential threat all at once. But Armin didn't flinch. Something had changed inside him. Something primal. Something stronger than fear. The figure lunged. Armin met it, not with weapons, not with shields, but with his mind. And then the scene went black. A single message echoed in the empty lab. The human mind is unstoppable. The lab shook violently. Red lights flashed, machines sparking, metal groaning as if the ship itself were alive. Armin stood at the center, his mind a glowing storm of energy, pulsing with power beyond comprehension. The colossal shadow figure had lunged. But Armin met it head-on, not with fists, but with thought. He could sense every move it made, every attempt to infiltrate his mind. He countered, turning their attacks against them, ripping the shadows apart with pure mental force. The lab walls cracked, screens exploded, sparks flew like fireworks in a war zone. More shadows emerged, this time smaller, faster, countless. They tried to overwhelm him. But Armin had learned something terrifyingly beautiful. They feared him now. With a thought, he sent waves of energy, pushing them back, controlling the shadows like a puppeteer controlling fire. The ship groaned and trembled. It wasn't just a vessel, it was alive. It reacted to Armin's mind. Energy corridors lit up, doors sealed and opened, systems shifting. A voice different from the shadows echoed in his head. Humans, you are beyond our expectations, but there is more. There are others. Armin's mind flashed with images. Humans being abducted from across the world, shadows waiting to test them, the earth itself at risk. But then he saw something else, a figure like him, glowing with the same power, standing alone against the darkness. Someone human. Before he could think, a shadow lunged from above. Armin dodged instinctively, energy crackling from his fingertips, scattering the darkness. The figure stepped into view. A woman, human, eyes glowing like his. She spoke, her voice echoing in his mind. Finally, someone who can fight. The colossal shadow regrouped larger than before, its darkness swirling like a storm. Armin and the woman stood back to back, glowing, energy crackling around them. The lab trembled. The shadows were endless. And Armin realized this war had only just begun. The lab trembled violently. Every corner was filled with sparks, smoke, and the stench of burnt machinery. Armin and the woman, his newfound ally, stood together, their energy glowing, radiating confidence amidst chaos. The colossal shadow recoiled for a moment, then multiplied. Smaller shadow entities swarmed from every corner. Faster, sharper, more vicious than before. Armin clenched his fists. His mind raced. This wasn't just a fight, it was a battle of wills. Armin focused. His mind pulsed like a storm, waves of energy expanding outward. Shadows screamed silently, twisting in pain as his mental force ripped them apart. The woman mirrored him. Together, their minds created a shield of energy, repelling the shadow swarm. The ship's corridors shifted, reacting to their combined consciousness. Doors slammed, walls reconfigured, machinery whirred like a living organism. A sudden vision hit Armin, shadows moving across Earth, abducting more humans, preparing for a full-scale invasion. This isn't just a test, the woman said, her voice tense in his mind. They want Earth, and we are the first defense. The colossal shadow reformed, bigger, more terrifying. It wasn't a single entity anymore. It was an entire army of darkness, concentrated into one storm. Through the ship's windows, Armin glimpsed the planet below. Cities flickered, lights vanished, chaos spreading silently. He realized with a sinking heart, if we fail, humanity will fall before they even know what hit them. The colossal shadow lunged again. Armin and the woman braced, energy exploding around them, creating a blinding flash that shook the ship. The voice echoed inside Armin's mind. The human mind will decide your fate. The colossal shadow storm filled the lab, darkness swirling like a living nightmare. Sparks flew, alarms blared, and the ship groaned under the pressure. Armin and the woman stood together, glowing with unstoppable energy. They were humanity's first line of defense and its hope. The shadows lunged, countless forms merging into one massive entity. Their darkness stretched to the edges of the lab, suffocating, relentless. But Armin smiled, not in fear but in defiance. This ends now. His mind pulsed with memories of Earth, children laughing, families united, people enduring despite pain. Every act of courage, every struggle, Every heartbeat of humanity flowed through him. The combined energy of Armand and the woman expanded into a blinding light. Shadows screamed silently, twisting, trying to resist. But this time it was different. Armand wasn't just fighting. They were controlling the darkness, bending it with pure human will. Through the ship windows, Armand felt a connection with every human on Earth. People resisting, helping one another, surviving even in chaos. Their collective hope and courage amplified his power. The colossal shadow faltered. Its massive form began to unravel, smoke dissipating, eyes dimming. The shadow tried one final strike, reaching for Armand's mind. But he was ready. Channeling all of humanity's strength, he created a mental shield so powerful it shattered the shadow from the inside. The darkness screamed, then exploded into nothingness. The lab fell silent. The ship trembled no more. The shadows were gone. Armand collapsed, exhausted but alive. The woman smiled, their hands clasped, energy fading into calm. Outside, Earth cities flickered back to life. Humans awoke from abduction, disoriented but safe, Armand realized. It wasn't just his mind that won. It was the spirit of all humanity. Courage, hope, and unity had defeated the impossible. The ship, once terrifying, now drifted empty in space. Humanity had survived, and in the shadows of the cosmos a warning remained. Never underestimate the human mind and heart.